So, I want to talk about the New York Jets. I asked the question a couple of weeks ago. I asked the poll on my channel. I asked my subscribers, do you believe in Adam Gase as a head coach for the New York Jets? And overwhelmingly, a lot of people said, no, I don't believe in Adam Gase. Look what happened last season for the New York Jets. They sucked, JT. They were 7-9. Now, I want to make this video to give Jets fans maybe a little bit of hope that you can somehow still have faith that Adam Gase can succeed as a head coach of the New York Jets. The Jets went 7-9 last season. A lot of people look at that as a terrible season, but I look at it as a solid season for what Adam Gase had to deal with last year when it came to the New York Jets. I mean, a lot of Jets fans in the offseason felt they were a playoff caliber team. And it's understandable because if you're a fan of your NFL team, of course, everybody's going to believe that their team has a chance of winning the Super Bowl and making it to the playoffs. But if we were being realistic, the roster that the Jets had last season, even on paper, did not look that good. Now, I know they had a couple of big free agency signings. You bring in Le'Veon Bell and things like that. But the offensive line wasn't that good. And the cornerback position was probably the worst cornerback group in all of football last year, right? So, I feel like New York Jets fans kind of had unrealistic expectations for Adam Gase last year. Okay? Now, you went 7-9. I think 7-9 is a good starting point for what you want out of a first-year head coach. Especially considering the fact that the Jets had a lot of injuries last year. The biggest one being Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold missed the first quarter of the season, the first couple of games of the season, due to mono. Okay? Now, in those 3 games that Sam Darnold missed, you lost to the Browns 23-3, which the game was a lot closer than what the scoreboard may indicate. Because you go back and watch that game, I mean, the Browns weren't really all that impressive. Then you got blown out by the Eagles and the Patriots. Now, let's say, hypothetically, Sam Darnold never got mono and played in all 3 of those games. Never missed any games last year. I feel the Jets would have beaten the Cleveland Browns. Because the Cleveland Browns really struggled that game, okay? The only thing that really the Jets, if they were able to somehow move the ball, they probably would have won that game. Because the Browns were not impressive. Then you probably still lose to the Patriots. You probably still lose to the Eagles. But then you beat the Dallas Cowboys. So there you have 2 wins, okay? The start of the season, which I felt was a pretty good, I think that's a pretty okay starting point, okay? That doesn't completely take you out of the playoff hunt or playoff fold or anything like that. You're still somehow competitive and you're still in the mix of things, right? So with the injuries that the Jets had to deal with, and plus losing your starting quarterback for the first stretch of the season, the fact that you were still able to go 7-9 is still impressive to me as a first-year head coach. Especially the fact that I don't think the Jets roster was good at all. I actually felt they had one of the worst rosters in the NFL last year. The offensive line was absolutely atrocious. And when it came to the defense, despite having Jamal Adams, other than Jamal Adams, pretty much everybody in the New York Jets secondary was not good. Okay? So the fact that Adam Gase went 7-9 with that roster and all the injuries that the New York Jets had last season, I think that should encourage and have a little bit of, a good positive on New York Jets fans going into this season. Because you went 7-9 despite all the injuries that you had to deal with. I think that's a pretty good building block. So going into year 2, what can you expect? I think the Jets, I don't think you can count out the New York Jets in the AFC East Division. Because you can argue that the AFC East Division is wide open. Now, I know Buffalo is pretty much the favorite amongst people to still win the AFC East and things like that. But I still don't trust Buffalo yet, completely. I think Buffalo will be a good team, but I still don't trust them completely. Then you got New England. We don't really know what's going on with New England. Then you got the Miami Dolphins in there. So it's a lot of question marks when it comes to every team in the AFC East, right? So basically, I feel with the state of the AFC East right now, it's wide open. I think anybody in the AFC East can win it. I don't think it's a large gap between the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, and the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. I think they are somewhat on an even playing field. But despite the Buffalo Bills probably have the most talented roster in that division, then it's probably the Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. But other than that, I still think the division is wide open for anybody to win. Okay? So you got that working for you, right? Then this roster, the offensive line in particular, is a lot better than what it was last season by a landslide. And it's not even close. You drafted left tackle Mekhi Becton, who is one of the best offensive tackles in this draft class, right? Then you also get left guard Cameron Clark later on in the draft, who both of those guys are going to end up starting. I'm predicting Cameron Clark to be a starter, and Mekhi Becton, without a doubt, will be starting, right? Then you also pick up center Connor McGovern, who was really solid for the Denver Broncos last year. So the offensive line for the New York Jets should be a lot better than what it was last year. Then you also get wide receiver Denzel Mims, the rookie wide receiver, who probably should be the best receiver on the New York Jets roster. You also got Rashad Perriman, who had a career resurgence in Tampa Bay with Jameis Winston and Bruce Arians. Surprised a lot of people. Jamison Crowder, I think, is still a solid slot wide receiver. You also got Josh Doctson, Quincy Enunwa. If Josh Doctson is able to stay healthy, I think he'll be a pretty good fit there. And Quincy Enunwa is an okay receiver. So, I mean, for the New York Jets, you also got Le'Veon Bell there at the halfback position, who is still one of the best halfbacks in the NFL, despite having a down season, which I think was due to not having a good offensive line. So, for the New York Jets on the offensive side of football, I think the offense is going to be a lot better than what it was last year. Because I know you lost Robbie Anderson and things like that. But I mean, overall, this offense should be a lot better compared to what it was last year. And a big reason why the offense struggled was due to the fact that the offensive line wasn't really that good. Now, Sam Darnold is going into his second year under Adam Gase. We should see a big growth in development compared to where he was last year under Adam Gase and going into year 2 of Adam Gase. Because the fact that Adam Gase is an offensive guru. So if you're an offensive guru, you should expect some development out of your quarterback going into the second year in your system, right? So Adam Gase, I think, gets a bad rep for what happened last season. I felt like Adam Gase actually did an okay job of managing to go 7-9 despite not having that good of a roster, and despite having to overcome a lot of injuries. Now, I know injuries are a part of the game and things like that, but I mean, you got to take into account that the Jets didn't really have that good of a roster to begin with. So then you lose starters. You don't really have a lot of good depth there. So, I mean, I think it's kind of a miracle that the Jets went 7-9 last year. Then on the defense side of the football, I mean, the defense, you got Quentin Williams, who had a solid rookie season. You got Jabari Zuniga, who I really like a lot, coming out of the University of Florida. Now, the only downside of why I feel Jabari Zuniga didn't get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft was because he battled injuries last season with the University of Florida. But when he was on the field, I think he was really productive. So if Jabari Zuniga can stay healthy, you got him and Quentin Williams. Both of those guys should have some success next season or this upcoming season getting after the pass. I think Quentin Williams should be able to be around 8 sacks, maybe 9 sacks. He should be a Pro Bowler this season. Those are my expectations for Quentin Williams. And I think Jabari Zuniga should be able to have at least 5 or 6 sacks. Then you also got C.J. Mosley. You got Patrick Owasu. C.J. Mosley is one of the best linebackers in the NFL, in my opinion. Then you also got Patrick Owasu, who isn't all that great in coverage, but he's solid when it comes to being able to get after the quarterback. So when it comes to being able to get after the quarterback, the New York Jets should be a lot better in that department. And with the ability to be able to get after the quarterback, that's going to be able to help out that secondary. That really struggled a lot. Other than Jamal Adams, everybody in that secondary was terrible in my opinion, right? So being able to have a solid pass rush and a solid defensive line is going to be able to help out that secondary, because then they're not going to have to be in coverage all that long, because the quarterback will be forced to get the ball out quick or won't have that long to sit back and throw. Then, when it came to the secondary, you addressed that in the draft. You got Bryce Hall, which I felt was a steal, because I felt Bryce Hall should have won the second round. You got him day 3. That's an absolute steal. I think he's going to end up being a starter without a doubt, right? Then you also still got Jamal Adams, who is one of the best safeties in the NFL. And you got Ashton Davis, the rookie out of California, who I felt was one of the most underrated NFL draft prospects going into the draft. So for the New York Jets, I still think you should have some faith in Adam Gase, that Adam Gase can succeed as a head coach for the New York Jets. You battled injuries. Everybody's going to be back fully healthy, right? You're in a division that has a lot of unknown variables in it. We don't really know how this division can pair out, okay? It's not really set in stone who's going to be the alpha in the AFC East. So really, anybody could take the AFC East division. I think it's wide open at this point. Although Buffalo may be the favorite, some people may say the Patriots, I still think this division could be wide open for the taking. So there is reason to believe in Adam Gase, New York Jets fans. There is reasons to believe. You got a better team than what you had last year. You got a better offensive line. And Sam Darnold is going into his second year under Adam Gase, which he should have a lot of improvement compared to where he was last year. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below about your expectations for the New York Jets, how you feel about Adam Gase. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.